Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our VBS Roundtable discussion. I'm so glad that you've joined us today. We are talking about all the variety of different ways that we can do Vacation Bible School. Aside from your traditional Vacation Bible School in your church, there's other things that you can do to outreach to the community and to involve the family. So today I've invited David Butts. He's the Minister to Children and Families at First Baptist Arlington. He is a long tenured children's minister. I had the privilege of working under his children's ministry. Actually, when we were on staff together at Park Cities Baptist Church, I was one of your volunteers. Loved that fifth grade class and got to see how you led and, became a children's minister a few years after that. So you did a great job, David. And
well, if you're any indication, then I did. That's awesome. So.
So thank you for joining us today. David comes with, he's celebrating 20 years of service at First Baptist Arlington this summer. So he has done a remarkable job, not only at First Arlington, but also other churches he's served in, Park Cities Baptist Church being another one. So he's my friend, my colleague, and someone I just adore. So thank you for joining us today. We're going to be talking about VBS, Family at Home VBS. So tell us about your vision for that and kind of what that looks like as you do this each year.
Yeah, who would have thought you could do VBS differently? But I'm also doing this from a bedroom in my house. So this Zoom. So you can pretty much be, the world is changing around us. So we're doing a lot of things different. Well, we really had a vision back years ago about how to do VBS maybe differently, not because we're looking to do VBS differently, but because we're trying to, we had a purpose in mind for what we wanted to do. And so that really kind of what drove this. It wasn't just, hey, let's look at what's new and what's out there. Because we did look around and see who other people were doing kind of a family VBS or something. And there weren't a lot of models. VBS was, when we started this, when I started thinking about this early in my ministry, I was thinking, okay, how can we be more purposeful for what we're doing with Vacation Bible School? I noticed that a lot of times during Vacation Bible School, we would get, depending on where I was serving at what church, what was the outcome and what were we trying to accomplish through Vacation Bible School? And did we do a good job in that each year? And with all the effort that we were putting into it, was it a good return on our investment? So all those things kind of help drive us to kind of reevaluate and look and see, is this something that we really want to do? Is something a little bit different than a traditional Vacation Bible School? So that traditional Vacation Bible School, what I would define that is meet during the week, in the morning, have classes for children, leave at noon, kind of a thing. We were, if you base it basically on just numbers, then it depends on what you offer. And it also depends on when you offer it. If you're earlier in the summer, you get more kids because there are not as many competitions out there for other Vacation Bible schools. And so looked at a lot of different things of how that worked in the realm of what we were trying to accomplish. So bottom line, it came down to this. We looked at our Vacation Bible School, who was coming and who were we trying to reach? If we were trying to really reach what Vacation Bible School was intended to do, is reach our community for Christ and get our community involved in our church, let them know a little bit more about our church, that kind of thing, and reach into the families. Then where we were, it wasn't accomplishing what we wanted to do. And so as I say this is really our journey. This is not like, this is the way you have to do anything. It really depends on where you are in your ministry, where you're located in your community, and what kind of relationship you have in your community, because we are a downtown church. So we don't have a neighborhood of children and families that attend our church from our neighborhood. They come from a little broader perspective. Usually, back when we started this, it's even changed. If you're coming to our church for an event, or if it's not Sunday morning when traffic is not there's a little less traffic on the road to get to church. Typically, it takes you people are coming at least about 15 to 20 minutes really to get to our church. So just weren't walking up to our area. And so all that to say is what we were trying to accomplish was we were trying to accomplish getting in and making an impact on the family. So we tried a couple of things in our Vacation Bible School. We tried opening up, hey, as we do our morning Vacation Bible School, we had something for parents, and we had a coffee, we had speaker, that come just to greet them and all that. And we had two moms that came, so that wasn't as effective as we would want it to be. And as we started looking at our numbers, we were reaching a lot of our families that actually already came to church. Those that were not members of our church that attended Vacation Bible School, they were going to another church. It was kind of like, well, this was it became kind of a childcare. And we know that, and I say that for sure, because when we did shift, we've got a lot of folks call and say, well, when's your Vacation Bible School? Or we do something different, it's at night. And they said, it's all for the parents. Okay, thanks. And hung up. They don't want any of that. They just were looking for something where so that was kind of helped us to know that. But that's exactly what was happening. We were getting a lot of folks from, they were already in attendance somewhere else. And so they weren't really prospects for our church. And to say that, even those that were non-churched, we never got any feedback from parents. We never got any other inroad into that family after Vacation Bible School. So we looked at what is a better way to do this. So we realized that offering anything else and extending that out in the morning wasn't going to happen. If we were early and try to make an impact in the family, we're going to be able to, besides just a children's activity, it would need to be somewhat time different. So we kind of looked at a lot of different things. I called around and talked to a lot of folks, and the way we were there, when you talk about family VBS, there's a big emphasis of doing everybody, the whole family comes together, rotates together with everybody's in the same room in the same. Really didn't want that. We didn't want that. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's a model that you want to go with, it didn't really work for who we were. It didn't work for the what we were trying to accomplish, but really even in our facilities, it didn't work well like that. But there were some things that we learned about that there was some benefit of being together as family that we did want. We just didn't want the whole time. So what we set down, our main thing, Jennifer, was to get everybody on board, and not try something brand new without getting our leadership behind it, and that means our staff to understand. So we presented it to them after Nanette and I talked, and I will tell you, I had the idea, and Nanette and I work. She's a preschool minister. We work really well together. We've known each other through college. We've known each other. We have a long history and friendship together. Coming from the children's ministry and the preschool ministry, it's a little different. One of the things that she told me was, it was easy for me. We offered a lot of different camps throughout the summer, and specifically a children's camp, a go-away camp, and all that. But we also have other camps as well. We were getting more prospects through those events than we were Vacation Bible School. And so, but our efforts, volunteer-wise, and our efforts financially were really being poured into Vacation Bible School, and it was at the best bang for our buck. And so So talking to Nanette, one of the things that she was resistant for a while as we got through, and I understand it better as she put it in this terms. Vacation Bible School was her camp. That was a chance for her parents to come in and have a time together, and that fellowship opportunity that we get from these other events. The preschool didn't have those, and so it was a kind of a light bulb for me to know to consider there is a difference from those two ministries. What our Vacation Bible School was offered for entering kindergartner and entering first grade, which were pre-K and kindergartners, but the rest, the youngers, were actually workers' kids. So a lot of folks would come so they could have their kids in a Bible study, so they could volunteer and all that. So it ended up being mostly school-age children that we were looking at. So anyway, as we looked at that and the change, her hesitance, as we started looking at purpose, it really didn't meet the exact purpose, what we were trying to do as a church and as our education ministries. And so as we all kind of started putting our heads together, made it a much better experience than if it was just me going on my own, by far, because our ideas came together. We were able to talk back and forth and figure out how it's going to work best for the family. And so getting everybody on board. If you're the only person doing preschool children, still get your education minister, your pastor, other staff members on board and seeing how we can all work together with this. So we did that, and that made it a much smoother transition to change what we have traditionally done. We're First Baptist Church. Change doesn't come easy. And so first, when we started this, we did get some kickback on this. Wait a minute. It's first of all, it's different. I don't really want to help. We were having a hard time getting volunteers, but then when you want to change it, they don't want to change, even though they don't want to work it. That kind of stuff. You get all that, but we got past all that. There were some hesitancies. There were some that made comment that's my only time I get to volunteer and I get to be with that group of children, and that's great, which is a wonderful thing. But we had to think about, we don't do a program just so you can volunteer with kids in your time frame. So even going back, what was our purpose? Our purpose was to reach families, make an impact on families, to develop a deeper commitment and relationship with families. Now, it was evangelistic at the same time. It's opening up and inviting. Our intent was for our families to be involved and excited about it, and then they would invite their friends, which is really the evangelistic model that we strive for, is relational evangelism. And so that kind of approach was where we were going. So all that to say, I don't want to beat that to death, but that was our purpose for what was always in front in order for us to accomplish it. Now, it's morphed over the years how we've done Vacation Bible. What we call Faith at Home. We intentionally did not call it a family VBS or a night VBS, because we wanted to make sure people understood it's different. It's not just relabeling it and it's the same old thing. It was really a different focus. Now, we had some of the same components of Vacation Bible School that we would do traditionally was still in that our Faith at Home. We came up collectively as a staff, came up with Faith at Home. And because what we were trying to do is develop our faith that comes, and it comes from home, that's where they're going to get that. So anyway, that was our purpose. That was our intent. So what we learned along the way is, and the way we structured it was to provide something when they would be able to come. We've even changed and altered. We started with Sunday night, with our programming starts on Sunday night, and we went through Wednesday. We did a 4-night event. When we started that on Sunday night, we realized that on Sunday night we can start a little bit earlier because we had our meal planned at 6, and everybody was there, and the line was long because they were available and able to get there. The reason we started at 6 is because during the week, parents couldn't get off work and get there in time for everybody to be there. So getting the concept of the time, what works for your community, what works for your church. But one of the things that we wanted to make sure we included was a meal. We wanted to do that because we thought it would be the ease of the family, and it would be a draw to get them there. We provide a meal, we eat together, and then we have classes. We really underestimated the importance of the meal. That was probably one of the most enlightening things for us, was to see the impact that just eating together, that opportunity for families to sit together, but also those families to sit with other families. It was one of the highlights of the event. It just develops, and there's good reason why I think there's so many references to breaking bread together in Scripture, and that was really, to us, was just an eye-opening experience. Boy, that we really underestimated it. So we have not taken that out. In fact, we try to make that a key part of what we do. It's a good opportunity. It's a feel-good thing. We offered it as a free meal, and so here's where our difference was. I hope I'm not going to jump around too much, but we offered it free because in planning what we do at night, we could save a ton of money on just curriculum alone by creating our own curriculum in Bible study in classrooms, and doing it where it's all coordinated and everybody's doing something together. And then with our theme, and we did our own curriculum. So the curriculum, taking that out, allowed us enough for our budget to allow us enough to put money in for a meal. Now, meals aren't cheap. When you offer one for 4 nights, it's not cheap. And so we have a local barbecue place that everybody loves, and we would offer that one night. We had a hamburgers one night. We had Chick-fil-A one night. We had spaghetti one night, and those are kind of our staple meals. They're pretty easy. Our food service, we've used them to provide some of those meals as well. And so, but it's also nice to have something that they recognize, like Chick-fil-A. They know everybody who can eat that. And so that's kind of one of those things that that's a big draw as well. And so let's say the meal was great. We started with the meal, and then what we did, we intentionally created our model was to make sure we have the best maximizing our time by keeping kids moving, but parents in one place. If you move parents, they never settle back where you want them, because they stop in the hall, they talk, they never get back where you want them. So there was a couple of things that we did to make sure that we tried to keep our parents where they were where they needed to be for us to start our class for our parents. Because what we did was we offered Bible study classes for everybody. Now, when we did this, when we started with our youth. Our youth were part of this as well. So our intent was that if you are 18, if you have an 18-year-old, a high schooler or below, this is for you. You can't volunteer. This is for you. So it made us look towards our senior adults, college students, senior and single adults to come in and help provide Bible study for our preschoolers and children, and for our youth. Now, our youth were being led by our youth staff team, so they pretty much came all together. Our adults were being led by our pastor, who is a big draw for our young adults. And so he came in there and talked with our parents. And then our children and preschoolers broke up into age group classes. And so we had that managed by some of those are Sunday school teachers, but they were intentionally not parents because we wanted them to participate in the parenting classes. And it wasn't parenting classes, it was just classes for parenting. It was really a chance for them to hear our pastor and him to speak to them, and he has the opportunity. We had which was the impressive thing is when we did Vacation Bible School the year before we did this, we had one man teaching Vacation Bible School in preschool and children because everybody else was working. We had one man that was able to do that in a class. When we had our Faith at Home and we started this, we had over 95 dads that were participating in the Bible study. So this is what we wanted. We wanted parents, we wanted our families to be in there. And so they get to hear from our pastor. So they were a part of this. So that was what we were trying to accomplish. So moms and dads were together, and with our pastor, our children break off on our time frame after we eat. I take the kids, we take them all to their class. The preschoolers are dropped off by the parents, and then by one of the parents, and then they go back into the meeting. And we usually try to do that around where we ate. Like I said, if we move too many times, we lose the families. We started by moving them to the sanctuary, and it's just like they just don't move fast. And you can't, hurry them. And so, we did that. Then we actually have our Bible study. During that Bible study is our activity time. So we still have some of the same elements of Vacation Bible School. We do Vacation Bible School with of course the story, the small group activities, crafts, and those were all involved in that hour that we had in Bible study. Then the snacks were our meal. We would come back and did a missions project together. We tried that, a little bit of that, depending on our time frame. We tried that a few years, did a mission project. Then we gave some mission projects for them to do at home as assignments type things. And then we did a little worship time together. We all did that as a family. So we still got the elements of missions, music, crafts, snacks, all those type things. The recreation was that left out a little bit. It was kind of incorporated. We didn't stop and go do something, but our time frame is shorter because at night, so we're not there, till 9 o'clock. We wanted to be out by about 8:15, and so it worked out really well. And so that's been kind of our model that we followed. We really wanted to make sure that what our purpose was. Our pastor is a big draw. We've had him as our speaker. He's our go-to speaker. He does a great job of communicating to them, and he takes the topic that we're covering overarchingly, and he breaks it down for them. We looked at doing and talking with another option in that if that doesn't work out the best was we looked at offering like maybe a money management class for kids, for the adults, so that they could have either multiple options or like 2 or 3 options that they could go to with speakers or someone that they could go to each night, or rotating that. There's other ways you can make that offering for the adults. What I would say is, like I said, the more they move, the less they get involved. That's the chance for them to kind of slip out or not be connected at all. So that's their freedom to do that. So
Hey, David, I have
yes.
a question. That first year,
Sure.
that transition, you had talked about making kind of small changes that made you figure it just really wasn't working. And I tried some similar things when I started church staff too, just trying to get the families more involved. So that first year you made that shift, how did that go? Were you just overwhelmingly surprised with how smooth it was, or were there some things to work out?
Well, there were some things that came up. There were some parents that didn't like it. They didn't like it. they're not unlike anything if we did something different. They're just, those are the same kind of parents. There's some that, it's hard to make a change. And so but overall, the switch, this is what we had to be aware of. We didn't have the same numbers that we would have of children that we have during Vacation Bible School, traditionally in the morning. But it was more intentional. It was more purposeful, and it met what our needs. So that transition was smooth in the sense of it. We were already expecting that it would be different. So we didn't have our expectations that we were going to have, 1,000 people show up and all that kind of thing. Now, we would have been great with that, but we realized we did a pre-registration and all that to help us kind of recognize what our numbers were as well. The smoothness of it was just we were prepared, and I hope I'm answering your question the way you're asking. The tweaks that we did were really based on, this room didn't work well for that activity. And it's too much. When we did the family type of meeting where we would try to accomplish too much with all the families together, like the mission project, it was too hard. It was too broad. When you're talking about preschoolers all the way to high schoolers, mission projects that they can interact with, some are done before they start. So, and the others are, and just, it was just hard to keep that. So we really adjusted that. That was more of like, here, take this and go, do this at home kind of thing, as opposed to trying to do that and give instruction when you got preschoolers all over the room, and sitting around tables, or we were sitting on the floor. And so just so everybody could see in our fellowship hall, there were some things that we had to, we're trying to do too much in that time. So we narrowed that down. Does that answer is that kind of what?
Absolutely. So, yeah. Just learning kind of as you go, because you can't really see what it's going to be like until you try it.
Yeah.
What I love most about this is it's kind of a holistic approach to ministry. Like you said, you're just reaching the children, you're reaching the families too. And going back to that Deuteronomy 6 model of parents discipling their children,
right.
That is probably the biggest win here.
Yeah.
That you're teaching that even more so than when you just have the children with you.
Well, our hope was that we were also having that opportunity to lay some foundation from the church standpoint, but also give resources to parents to know how to help develop their faith, their child's faith at home. And that was our whole purpose in doing that, was to give resources to help them build them up, is that you are the spiritual leader for your child. And we want to help you come alongside of you. We don't want to take that role away from you. And we want to help you with that.
And that gave you an opportunity to build relationships too. I know that when I would post a VBS, I saw the parents that drop off and pick up, and that's only
exactly right.
Minutes. That's not enough time to build relationships. And so I think this is a genius idea, that so many different benefits
that was exactly that phrase you just said. That's exactly what we went into. We don't have any connection with these parents at all. And so at best, it was at the end. And those teachers never got a chance to connect with them. We as ministers never did. There was zero. It was really, and usually pick up and drop off are the most chaotic times. And so even if you did have interaction, it was not the best kind of interaction that you want to have. So during the mealtime, that's where so much of that was just fantastic. It was able to sit down and talk to them, and a guest that came in and just saw it, sat down, and the other families that surrounded them and got to know them. That was really awesome to watch. So
and building community there with those.
It was
as well. Just taking a pause from life and just enjoying what your kids are enjoying. So I love the idea, and I wrestled with how to do that in my own ministry and tried to make some small shifts as well based on your model, and
Yeah.
never quite got to where you were, but I see the value and I see how this is exponential. It's
Yeah.
multiplying your ministry.
It was. We made a lot of changes throughout the year. We actually, this year, we're doing a pool party at the local pool. Everybody come on Sunday night. And we tried that last year, and we got it. There was a thunderstorm that rolled in on Sunday evening, and it ended up, it was clear in a lot of places around the town where people live, but at the pool there was like thunder and lightning was setting right over. So we got that canceled. And so, which that's okay, but we're going to try it again this year. And so that's our kickoff. And then we're going to do 2 nights, Monday and Tuesday night of Bible study. And then we're going to do something special on that last night. We're also starting doing a music camp prior to our Faith at Home. So our children can be part of a little, learn some music and some songs, and they will actually be leading us in the worship for those, for each night. And so we're trying things different. I'll tell you, Jennifer, what this model works. We were out of our building because of construction through a season, and one year we couldn't find any place to do it. One year we did it, not the best place. We were scattered all over. The first time when we were we couldn't really get around our building because of construction. We had really no place to go. So what we did is we did Faith at Home to go, and we made the pizza boxes, and we made the activities cut in the triangle shapes to make pizza. So each one night, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, in 4 slices. And so it gave them envelopes that it was all for them to do it at home. And so that was a really neat thing, because it was, what can we do? It ended up being something really even more purposeful, because that was the parents doing it at home. And several of them did it on vacation when they were in the car and stuff like that. So it's kind of neat, providing just resources for the parents that allow them to make those connections.
I love that. I love that, how you've adapted to the needs of your time. Not having the space made you think outside the box a little bit, literally outside.
Right. Exactly.
One thing that comes to mind that I'm dying to ask is, volunteers. So you said that parents were not to be volunteers because they were participants. Did you need less volunteers, or did you just pull more resources in?
Yeah, what this did, it changed the really dynamics of it. Now, I don't know how most people, I'm assuming most people do the traditional VBS the way we did it. You have a Bible study class, and you have a small group of class, and then the kids rotate around, and you had all these teachers, and some of them followed around, but you also had this room set up for them, and a music class and all that kind of stuff. You end up with a lot of volunteers. And in fact, when we would do Vacation Bible School, I would look at the number of kids. We were having really well over a third of our attendance were volunteers. I mean, that's just what it was. It was a lot of, and it takes a lot of people to do a lot of what we have them do. And so when we did this model, we did just the small group, the large group and small group in different classrooms. We needed less teachers because we didn't have all the rotating that they were doing around. And so it worked out where we needed less volunteers in that. They were easy to come by because it was an evening instead of the daytime. So we had a lot more men volunteering than we ever had before. It was not just retired folks. It was a lot of the boomers. And that was the issue. A lot of these boomers are looking for somehow to connect and something to be purposeful. I don't want to just hold a door if that's all you want. I want to know that what I'm doing is making an impact. So helping them get involved and making that connection. So that was great. A lot of college or single adults were really wanted to do that, and single adults are working, and so now they could come in and be a part of this. Some of them would have been volunteering normally on a regular traditional VBS, but we got a lot others that did not. So and we realized we didn't have to have all the stuff, all the decorations, all the stuff like that. We didn't have to do that. And so we saved a lot on that. We put the money back in the food where it was really make the most impact. And so, and honestly, we've gone to, we don't charge for food, but we ask for, at first it was free. Then a lot of people said, hey, let me give you something. And they did, and we accepted that. But then we started at, hey, $1 per person. If you if you would like to help offset.
Yeah.
Some people give more than that. So it just kind of, that ends up by the time we all said and done, we had enough money that paid for one night when we did that.
That's
and
great.
So that helped offset the cost that way as well. So the volunteers help in a lot of different ways. Registration is a lot easier because you're coming in as families. You're just not dropping off people and taking them to a classroom. You're coming in, registering. We did pre-registration, but then we also did, they could register when they came, and then they would go eat. And so it took a little bit of less everybody in classroom kind of thing.
Yeah.
We didn't take away their Bible study time as well. So
I did something similar. I moved my registration around the dinner time so people could register while they were at dinner. Everybody was together. Yeah. And I know that first time I did it, the parents were like, where do I drop off my child? I'm like, they stay with you for now,
Exactly. Yeah.
And that was kind of a shifting of, what they had expected.
It was a little bit different at first because a lot of them were like, wait, this isn't what we normally, but it became what we wanted to do. And what it has done is it's created a new normal that you're responsible for your kids. And we want you to be responsible for your kids. And we still want to interact with them, but it's not drop your kids off at church and you're done.
Right.
This is just church is a part of what we do as a family. So
I love that too. That was certainly my heart and the transition I was trying to make too. You had mentioned the decorations. That's something that I know my budget spent a lot of money on. But it kind of bothered me for a while because, I'd always tell my teachers, if you're going to spend time on something, spend time on preparing for your Bible study.
Exactly.
Decorations are just extra. And I kind of laughed one year because I had my in-house VBS that took a whole building to do. And then I had a backyard Bible club that I could put stuff in the trunk of my van, literally, whatever I needed. And then I went on a mission trip to Poland and fit everything in a suitcase. Yeah. So really it's not about the big stuff.
No.
You still get the same quality, no matter what resources you have. And so I think it's streamlining. What you're doing is streamlining that process.
Right. And you can still have
what's important.
You're right. You still can have the look. We did that, try to do that on the stage when we came together, like in the meal times, or that was kind of the focal point. And we ended up doing like just a big banner, making one of those in the room. And then we had one in, we moved to the sanctuary. We moved into fellowship hall. We did things out in our courtyard. We've done things differently just to get a different feel and what it looks like. So we weren't locked into this is the only way to do it. We have changed and morphed all along the way. And just talking here's the thing. If your vacation Bible school is everything that you want it to be, okay, then we were looking at a purpose that we wanted to do. And where we were putting all of our emphasis wasn't doing that. What we did find out was Nanette's camp experience from Vacation Bible School different. She actually went back, and we still do Faith at Home, but she does a Kinder Bible. So we do our camps, and we do all of our events where we get a lot of folks, and we do Bible study through all those camps and all that. Well, she does a Kinder Bible for entering kindergarten and entering first grade, and then the workers, same kind of a thing for her age that she does that gives her that opportunity for that VBS experience, or that camp-like experience. So anyway, if that kind of helps make the understanding of how
Absolutely.
we kind of morphed through it. So
yeah, and I think what you said earlier was important, that you've got to know the demographics of your community. You've got to know the needs of your church, and not be afraid. I think we're so afraid to say, well, we've always done VBS and we've always done it this way.
Yeah.
And we're afraid to change. But really, if it's not meeting the needs, I share a similar sentiment that you said. I had a mom come to me one time. She had twin girls that came to my VBS, and she thanked me. Thank you for VBS. I'm like, oh, it's great. We love having your girls. She's like, I have 3 hours every day to myself. I'm like, that's not why I'm doing VBS.
Yeah.
So, and I went home and cried that day. I'm like, I'm not accomplishing what I'm wanting to accomplish here. Right. I'm missing something, and so I think that this speaks to the heart of reaching this next generation too, who needs to become more involved in being the spiritual leaders of their children.
Right. Yeah. VBS was intended to be Bible school on that concentrated time. We do those same things and more with camps, with activities that parents drop their kids off and have the afternoon, have a whole day or whatever. And that's great, because that's the purpose of what those camps are. Mm-hmm. But our Vacation Bible School was different in what we wanted to be. And that's one of the reasons, Jennifer, we didn't want to say family VBS at night, because we wanted them to see, okay, now what is this? And we get a chance to tell them what it is. And not that they just assume it's just, this isn't for me as a parent, all that kind of stuff. So we wanted to make sure that it was really intentional and different. And we didn't want the assumption that it be just the same thing that we did in the morning. So
I love that. Yeah. How many years have you been doing your
Oh, we were trying, I knew you were going to ask this, and I should have. And no, we've done this for it's about 8 or 9 years now.
That's what I was thinking, close to 10 years, because I know I've spoken to you about it several times, even when I was serving in church staff. And
right, and it's like I said, it changed a little, and then we made some bigger changes. We no longer the youth aren't part of that the last couple of years, and it became where the parents of youth, some of them came, not all of them did. It wasn't as impactful for our youth as we'd wanted it to be, and their parents. So they've gone a different direction with that, but it doesn't really change the emphasis of what we're doing. And so even now, some of those youth actually will come back and help in preschool or children. So so volunteer in that way. So
I love that. And I love how your first step was to approach the staff, and get them on board. You never want to kind of go out on your own and try something, without the support of the staff and without it being well communicated. You communicated to your staff, you got their buy-in, you communicated to your parents, and you just kind of ushered them through that process. And so I think any changes we make, we need to be mindful of that as we go through our process.
Yeah. And, it was fun. Everybody still had a good time. It was there were aspects of it that we, like I said, we tweaked, but it was never like, well, this isn't like we missed this. The first couple of years we've gone back to, well, I like this old model, or, because of, I've got one mom that she liked that, because that she's just very structured. That's what she grew up with, and that's what she wanted, and that's what she said, and it's just my thing. And so, and I say I totally understand this is, and I know the purpose, but I like that, and so that's okay. But beyond that, we have not had really any long-term negative feedback about it, and that's part of our church too, is their understanding of, and they give us the flexibility to do some new things. So
Right.
that's you got to know where you are, and we have that flexibility at this church to be able to do that. And so we're blessed in that way. So
I think so. I mean, your church, when
Right.
you build rapport with parents, they're going to trust
Right.
you, when you
Yeah.
make changes. And on the other side of that, you can see how much more beneficial it is for the spiritual health of our family
Right.
to make these shifts. And so
Right.
I'm excited for you. I really want to come visit this summer. And so
Sure.
pop in and visit one night. Let me know when the Chick-fil-A night is.
Okay. I'll give you a call.
Well, David, I appreciate you being here today. I just
Absolutely.
thinking outside the box when it comes to children's ministry and thinking of new ideas, the new ideas, fresh ideas to involve our families. We need to reach this generation, and the statistics are pretty high that our young adults are leaving the church, and I think
Yeah.
it's an important element that we could consider some ways within children's ministry to involve our parents again. So
Right.
right. Any closing thoughts or any words of wisdom?
No, and I would just say, we certainly, our way is not the only way at all. And so just because I shared, this is how we've approached it. This was our journey. And so everybody, every church is different. Every community is different. And and every minister is different. And so how God uses us in our own place is unique. And so there's nothing that makes us, our model, the only model by far. It's just something that we felt like this is where God wanted us to be. And so we went down that journey together as a church, and it's worked for us. So it took a long time for us to get there. But I'm glad we didn't give up on something that we felt like this is where we're supposed to be. So
Yeah, I think that's a good word there. Don't give up.
Yeah.
Always be thinking of fresh ideas to reach our families. One thing that I tried to do, I had, I mentioned I had the registration on Sunday night. I had the dinner, and then I had the parents come in to worship, so they got to hear the songs that they did and do it with their children. And then I would dismiss the children to go to their classes at that time, and invite the parents to stay for a movie, a Christian movie. We showed a room one time, just something to give them some exposure, and that was pretty well attended.
Yeah.
I was pleased with the results. So, I mean, even if you don't make a change with the whole VBS, maybe pieces of it could be adaptable to involve parents and give them a reason to stay, because they're not going to stay if there's not anything for them.
Right. That's exactly right. So and that was key in making it purposeful for the parents. So
that's good. Well, thank you for sharing, Dave. It's been great having
thank you for asking me.
VBS Roundtable. I love what you're doing, and I love the example that you are for us. So congratulations again on 20 years of ministry at First.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining us today.
Okay.